Hello everybody, welcome back to my next installment on this three-part series, Kihon Concepts. And in the last video, or maybe the introduction video, but I identified three parts to a kata. You have the receive, reverse, and the deliver. I don't want to necessarily say attack because sometimes you don't always want to attack. Deliver could just be, it could even be escaping. It's the idea that you've received something, you reverse the situation to allow yourself an opportunity to do whatever. So if you haven't seen the other two or the other preceding videos, I highly recommend you go back and watch those first. But I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this next part to receive or to reverse. So the idea of reverse is complex. It's not to just neutralize the attack. So if a person comes in and grabs you, he creates this off balance in you, and he's establishing some control and some leverage. Maybe he's got your center or whatever, but you're off. And then through your own ability to adapt, you recapture your balance. Okay? That neutralizes his attack. But what makes it a reverse is in the manner in which you've neutralized it, you have also taken his balance, his structure. You've created an opportunity where he started the attack from a position of strength and you're in a position of weakness, assumedly, and you reverse that so that you're now in a position of strength and he is now in a position of weakness. If you just neutralized it, then you both are neutral. You're both in a position of neither strength or weakness. It's zero, and that just zeroes it out. So that kills the kata, that kills the technique. So you have to have that 180. It has to be a reverse to flip it back around onto the person so that person can't continue to attack. So how you do that is going to be in context with what their attack is, but this is where you get into like the yin yang, strength, weakness, polarities, and things like that. And I don't want to get too heady into that. Some people spend a lot of time overthinking this stuff, but really it has to do with wherever there is pressure, go where there's no pressure, right? It's a pretty easy concept. But not only go where there's no pressure, but then do it in such a way that actually creates a bigger effect. So it's not just that you're you're moving away from that pressure, but you're also doing it in such a way that where you move, the timing that you do it in, etc., allows you an opportunity to then be able to take away the stability that they had. So that is the most significant part to this. It's the idea, again, that you're not just neutralizing the attack. You're not just escaping what they're doing. You're actually flipping it so that you're in a position of strength and they're in a position of weakness. And then from there, you can decide what to do next, depending on the situation, your intent, whatever, that you can attack or leave. And I mean, you can't get more simple than that. Now, of course, in real context, whether it's sparring or free form or flat out real violence, the variables exist and it can be very difficult to apply, receive, reverse, and return in such a compact process, because sometimes you may need to continue to receive something until you can create that, until that opportunity presents itself, you can reverse, or maybe you try to reverse, but their ability, they're able to then reverse your reverse, etc., so the timing just isn't there for you to deliver anything. There's all these variables that exist, but when you're practicing a kata, and this is why kata are important, kata strip away all of those variables and just make it just these base components that you need to practice, because they all contain those lessons that you need to work on. And then when you learn those lessons, and then you can apply it in more of a free form, like a randori, or you can do kumite, sparring, whatever. And hopefully you'll never have to use it in real life. But if you do, then you have that there as well. But in training in class, you need to slow it down and pay attention. That middle third, in my opinion, is the most important part, because that transitional point of the reversal, of the reverse, that point of transition, again, my opinion, but that point of transition is where you live or die. Because so many times I see guys trying to reverse what their partner is doing, but they're leaving themselves completely vulnerable. Their vitals are exposed. They even will take their own balance trying to reverse something, or they get tied up in their own technique, or they're trapped and they can't move. So your reverse, how you reverse the attack, you received it, but now you're going to reverse it. How you reverse it should have an offense, defense at the same time. And for those of you that train with me and with some other people, my senpai and things like that, you know what that means. But it's the idea that it is defensively protective, but at the same time, it's also offensively able to affect your opponent. So it's doing two things at the same time. And so it has to contain that. It has to maintain your balance, your center line being protected, but also has to allow you the ability to move. So how you reverse something has to contain all those elements in it, because your adaptability still has to be there. You still have to be able to adapt to the moment. And anything can happen, especially if you're talking about a multi-threat environment, multiple opponents or whatever. So this reverse, how you reverse something, is very, very important. And it's important that you really study how a kata is supposed to be done. I'm not saying theorize, think about it, come up with different ideas and whatever. Really get to, how is this thing actually written? How does the source of the teaching, how do they present that and why? And what really makes that work? And again, ask yourself, does this transitional phase, this middle part, this reverse, does it actually reverse or does it just neutralize? That's the most important part, because if it actually puts the attacker in a position of weakness and puts the defender in a position of strength, that's a reverse. If both are strong, or at least they're not weak anymore, but both attacker and defender suddenly are just kind of like their balance is intact, they have the ability to move and attack. If both are like that, that's just a neutralized technique. The technique is dead. It's neutralized. There's nothing more. You got to wait for something else to happen, or you make something else happen, but there's a catalyst that needs to then continue the motion. If there's no catalyst needed, if it's already created that situation that allows for you to be able to then deliver the next part, that is a true reverse. So in the case of, for those of you that train are in the case of gyakuwaza, where you have like all the different, this, that, whatever, watch your opponent's body. So typically these start out with a grab, lapel, sleeve, whatever. And the way you are taking that person's hand, wrist, arm, and the way you're moving your body, how you do all this, it's designed to create a chain of events in the person's body. If you just take the hand off and the guy goes, and there's nothing moving here, that's not a reverse. You may have received the attack, the grab, and you may have dislodged it from your body, but you haven't reversed anything, because they're still in a position of strength. They can kick you in the basket or whatever. Like, they're still there. They're still strong. They're still balanced. And if you're doing this and this, and you're doing all these things, and that's cool, but they're just standing there the whole time and they're doing this, your throw, your delivery is going to really suffer, because if they're just doing this, and then you take that hand out there and you try to throw them, they have their balance intact. They can just walk towards you and hit you or whatever. That's a problem. But if in the way you're doing it, if it creates them to go like this, and now you're going to do the final part, which is the final twist and maybe the throw or the takedown, but they're like this when you start that, and their body's already starting to kind of move from that, that's reversed. That is a reversed technique or reversed attack, because they started by grabbing you, you ripped that hand up and created that motion, and now you're going to do the deliver while they're in a position of weakness, and you're in a position of strength. You're really just strong right here, whether you do it this way or however. You're strong, you're balanced, your structure's good, and you're taking this guy to the ground while he's weak. The same is true for strike, right? So you receive, person throws that punch, right? And then you're shifting back and you do maybe a nagashi, a type of receiving that redirects the arm. And so you're receiving that, and in their attack, they go like that, the arm knocks out and the energy transfers through the body and down, and they go like this. And now from there, you deliver your shito, your counterattack, you're delivering the next part to the technique. And you're going to do that when they are like that. I mean, how weak they are, you're going to topple them. But if you just simply block and then you're trying to come in and do this part here, but they're like, you block that thing, you're trying to come in on a guy who's set. It's not going to work. He's going to clobber you. So that reversal comes into your success or failure of that final part of the delivery. So spend time with the reverse. Really, really, really practice that. Pay attention to yourself. Make sure that you are not only recapturing your own position and balance and structure, but you're doing it in a way that starts to reduce their structure and balance and everything else. It puts them in a weaker position, you in a stronger position. If you find that before you do that final part to the technique that polarity has been flipped between who's strong and who's weak, if you have flipped that polarity, you have done it well. Now, minor details can always be fixed, but again, I'm just talking on a conceptual level. But that's what you're striving for. And you have to train with honest people. Don't let your partner BS you into saying, oh, this is good, but they just kind of fish flounder with you or whatever, over dramatic act, or, you know, if you're not really affecting them and putting them into a weaker position by your reverse, they should not be in a weaker position. This drives me insane, that training with people, I've done this, I've trained with people where, you know, you're doing something with them and yeah, okay, they don't want to necessarily resist because you're both learning and you're trying to train slow. But at the same time, if you're doing something that genuinely is not shifting their balance, why would they shift their balance? If you're doing something that genuinely would not break their structure, why would they allow their structure to be broken? So in the case of, let's say, the receiving the punch, if you're coming up and you're just kind of like this and that arm just kind of sits there, they feel that arm-to-arm contact and they go, why would they do that? So it doesn't mean you have to smash their arm. Your partner has to also be a good actor, but at the same time, this requires real truth and honesty. You can receive somebody's attack very slowly, and the attack, the guy punching would receive your block, and he knows that had that had power to it, it would do that. That's honesty. That's real honesty. So you have to have good partners to train with. You have to have good, honest communication with each other, and you have to always be trying to improve what you're doing. And again, ask yourself, is what I'm doing putting them in a position of weakness or weakening their position and putting me in a stronger position? Or is it just neutralizing it? Or, worst case scenario, are they even in a stronger position? Sometimes that happens too. But you really need to take a look at this reverse part in the kata or in your training, and really make that a major focus and study. And don't let your ego get involved. Be humble about that. We can always improve, and different people you train with are going to create different challenges for you on making a true and effective reversal. Big guys, small guy, long, lean, whatever. Maybe they have limited range of motion. Maybe they're a yoga master. Everybody brings a certain level of uniqueness to the exchange. And in that reverse, that's where you're going to find that. It's in the reverse. That's where the unique attributes of each person are going to really come out. So slow down, practice mindfully, be honest, have the right training partners, train with different kinds of people, and just overtrain this concept. Just overtrain it. Not, oh, that's good enough. Overtrain it. Train it until you're sick of it, and then train it some more. Because again, like I said, this is the part where you're going to live or die, or at least your technique is going to live or die. So I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think about this video. If you enjoy it, there's one more video that I'm going to make as soon as I have time. It'll be on that third part, the deliver. And so watch for that. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be pinged when I produce new content. And stay happy, stay safe, and keep training. This corona thing has messed up a lot of martial artists being able to train, but life is about adapting. So we have something to adapt to. The question becomes, who are you? Are you a martial artist? If you are, it doesn't matter. Whatever the situation, you're going to adapt and keep going. If you can't, if you give up, then, how could you handle wartime? So, anyway, I don't want to beat anybody up on that, but I know for me personally, this is a great opportunity for me to slow things down, focus on myself, my health, my relationships in my life, and what's important to me, and to really start to make some changes as far as my priorities and what interests me, and to cut away the unnecessary or the toxic or things that strip away all the life-enhancing qualities that I want to foster in my life. So martial arts are an expression of that. So I encourage you to continue to practice, even if you're all by yourself in a room, whatever. Just keep studying, keep practicing. It's all about action, massive action. You can read, listen to me, read books, watch videos, but none of it matters if you don't actually put in the work. So get sweaty, put in the work, even if you're the only one. It doesn't matter, just do it. So I wish you all the best, and keep training.